We are less than a week away from filling out bracket after bracket as the NCAA March Madness tournament is a little less than 10 days away. But before we can get all excited, we gotta know some teams are going to be in it. And of course, there's bubble teams to talk about. Now, what I have here is I have a select list of teams according to major expertise websites on teams that are on the bubble. Now, for this one, I have either in, out, or on the fence. Now, let's start off with the first one on this list, Wake Forest. I think they're on the fence. I feel like they're on the fence because they've had some great wins lately, getting some great wins down the stretch. But they've lost some heartbreaking games they probably should have won, for example, against Duke when Luke Kennard hit the game-winning shot. If they would have won that game, I feel like they would be in right now. But right now they're on the fence. But however, I feel like if they can win their first game in the ACC Conference Tournament, I think they're going to be definitely in. But right now they're on the fence. But they can easily be in after their first Conference Tournament game. Next one, Kansas State. I feel like they're on the fence as well. But I feel like they could possibly be in. Because they've had really convincing wins this year. But lately, it's kind of down the stretch where Kansas State's been a little inconsistent. Because I haven't really heard of much out of Kansas State lately. But they've had some great quality wins. So I think they're on the fence right now. But it's a possibility they could get in. I feel like if they make a big run in the Big 12 Conference Tournament, I feel like they might get in. California, I have them out at this point. Unless they make a run at the Conference Tournament, I think they're out. If they could have finished the deal against Oregon a couple of weeks ago, I feel like they'd be on the fence. But right now, I think they're out. Rhode Island, I think they're in. And if they make the tournament, then they'll have deserved it. But if they don't, it will be because they got robbed of a spot in there like Monmouth did last year. Because Monmouth had big wins last year. So if Rhode Island does not get into this tournament, it's because the committee robbed them of a spot. Illinois, out. I just feel like they're out because I just haven't seen fight in the Illini lately. I mean, things can change in the conference tournament, but I don't feel like they're going to get in. Vanderbilt, I feel like they're on the fence. I think it kind of depends on what they do in conference tournament play. They can pull out maybe 2 or 3 wins. I think they're going to get into the field. Syracuse, I feel like they're in, even though some experts have them as one of the last 4 buys. Some of them have one of the last 4 in. Some of them have them in the first 4 out. But I feel like they're in for 2 reasons. Maybe even 3. 1, because we're in the same situation we were last year with Syracuse. Where the committee was thinking, let's put them in or let's put them not in. But they put them in, they made a Final Four run. 2, they're a big-time market team with a Power 5 conference. They're a big market team, legendary coach in Jim Boeheim. Probably one of the top 5 coaches in men's basketball history, probably in college basketball history. And 3, because they've had big wins. They had huge wins lately, like they've had wins against Duke. They've had some solid upset wins against Virginia. They pulled off massive upsets at home. But the thing that's drawing them back is their style of play when they're not at home. That'd be their only drawback. That'd be the sole reason if they did not get in, was because of that. Illinois State, I feel like they're out. They've had a great season. They picked up some solid wins, but when you lose by 20 points in your conference tournament championship game, I just feel like you automatically go out. If you're like on the bubble and you lose by 20 points in a conference tournament championship match, you're out immediately. Although some experts have them in, some have as the last 4, which I think would be great to see if we saw a team like Illinois State in the tournament. But sadly, unfortunately, I have them out. Providence, I feel like they're in. They've had convincing wins. Marquette, I feel like they're on the fence. let's get to the other Big East team right now, and that's Xavier. They're on the fence as well. I think those two teams, they're on the fence, but they could possibly get in depending on how they do in the Big East tournament. I think if Xavier gets 2 wins, I think they're in. I feel like if Marquette gets 2 wins, I think they're in. So Marquette and Xavier, they can get in. They can dictate their fate in the Big East tournament, depending on how they do. Now, the final 2 teams, USC, I feel like they're out. Iowa, I feel like they're out. Iowa's had some great wins. They got a young team, but I feel like their run came out a little bit too late. And USC, I haven't really heard much out of USC this year. So I feel like they're going to be out. Because I don't see a mention in the brackets anywhere near last 4 in or last 4 byes at all. Alright, so that is your bubble watch. Now let's get to the exciting stuff. I've got my projected seeds. I've got the projected 1s, projected 2s, and projected 3s. Now these are just seeds according to me. It could be my projection. It could be just what I think could happen. But I'm calling it a projection. My own personal projection here. Now I'm going to kind of start off with the 3s a little bit because when we get to the 1s and 2s, that's where it gets really suspenseful. So the number 3s. I'm going in order from the 4th, 3rd seed to the 1st, 3rd seed, because this is where it's going to get suspenseful. The last 3rd seed I have Purdue. I think Purdue's had a great season. They've got solid big men. I feel like a 3rd seed is where they should be right now. However, if they win the conference tournament, if they win the Big Ten tournament, they could sneak into the last 2. They can sneak into the last number 2 seed. But the number 3 3rd seed and the number 2 3rd seed, 2 Big 12 teams, Baylor and West Virginia. Now both these teams, they have demons in the tournament. Baylor can't get out of the round of 64, and West Virginia can't advance to the Sweet 16, except for 1 year they did, but they got blown out by, of course, Kentucky. So both these teams have tournament demons. And could this be the year they finally overcome those demons? And the final number 3 seed, the top 3 seed, I have Arizona. But I feel they can sneak their way, just like Purdue, they can sneak their way into a 2 slot if they win their conference tournaments in a convincing fashion. Now the number 2 seeds, this is where it gets really interesting. The last 2 seed, I have Louisville. The 3rd 2 seed, I have Kentucky. I feel like they deserve to be number 2 seed. They're probably one of the most consistent teams in college basketball at this point right now. Kentucky's getting hot at the right time. This is their peak. I feel like a 2 seed is right where they need to be. I feel like at the worst, Kentucky will be the top 3 seed. There's no way Kentucky goes worse than the top 3 seed. Alright, the number 2 seeds, the top 2 seeds, this is where it kind of gets interesting. Because right now, here's kind of the obvious. The number 1 overall seed, I have Kansas. Because I feel like they're a really consistent team, but they have tournament demons as well. In fact, a lot of the Big 12 teams that are doing this tournament, they have tournament demons. Like Kansas has tournament demons. Villanova had tournament demons until last year. Gonzaga, they've had their fair share of tournament demons. So let's point out the obvious right now. The first 3 seeds are obviously going to be Kansas, Villanova, and Gonzaga. We're not touching them. So right now we're at an interesting point. We're down to 3 teams to the final 1 seed. We're down to UCLA, North Carolina, and Oregon. I feel like if North Carolina wins the ACC tournament, they could get the 1 seed. But I personally feel like the last 1 seed should go to the Pac-12 conference tournament champion. And right now I have that being UCLA. Because right now I feel like if UCLA wins the Pac-12 tournament, they should be number 1 seed. Because they've done everything to deserve a number 1 seed. They have, probably, hands down, the best 2 road wins all year. With road upset victories against Kentucky when they were number 1. And Arizona ending their 27-game home winning streak. So that's where I have it. So for those who keeping score at home, my 1 seeds right now are Kansas, Villanova, Gonzaga, UCLA. However, there are some scenarios where this can change. I feel like if North Carolina wins the ACC conference tournament, they could get the final number 1 seed. But if UNC doesn't, then whoever wins the Pac-12 conference tournament should get that last 1 seed, assuming that championship matchup is UCLA versus Oregon. Because at that point, the number 1 seed, the last one, should go to the Pac-12 conference tournament champion. And right now in that scenario, it's UCLA. Anyway, I'm going to leave it at that. Also, be sure to join my March Madness group. I'm going to put a link in the description box down below. Also, shout out to the Athlete Sub. I hope the guys in there join my bracket group as well. Anyway, like and subscribe to the channel. Follow me on Twitter, JB Talk Sports. Have a great day, everybody. I'll see you next time for the tournament prediction video. It's going to be an exciting one. Be sure to watch. Be sure to tell your friends. I will see you next time.